Today we're going to take a look at Lesson 13 of Module 5. The objective says multiply mixed number factors. Number 1 says find the area of the following rectangles. 1a says 5 over 2 kilometers times 10 over 5 kilometers. Let's solve. You have 5 over 2 times 10 over 5. You can just go across and multiply here to solve. 5 times 10 equals 50. 2 times 5 equals 10. 50 divided by 10 equals 5 square kilometers. Now, there's a second way to solve this that may be a little bit easier. The second version is called cross-canceling. So let's set up the problem again. 5 over 2 times 10 over 5. In this method, you look at the numbers across from one another, diagonal from one another, the 2 and the 10, the 5 and the 5, and you can cancel them out. For example, 5 can go into 5 one time, so 5 can go into 5 once. 2 can go into itself one time, and 2 can go into 10 5 times. You're left with 5 right here times the 1 that's right there. 5 times 1 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. 5 over 1 equals 5 kilometers squared. Now that only works if the numbers that are diagonal can cross-cancel one another. Let's take a look at 1b. 1b says 4/8 of a mile times 2 2/3 of a mile. The first thing you need to do here is convert 2 2/3 to an improper fraction. So by doing that, you multiply the 2, the whole number, by the denominator 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Then you add the numerator of 2. 6 plus 2 is 8. And the denominator stays the same. So 2 2/3 is equivalent to 8/3. Now we can bring up 4/8 and you can multiply. 4 times 8 is 32. 8 times 3 is 24. 24 can go into 32 one time. 32 minus 24 is 8. And then you'd have 24, and that can even be simplified down to 1 1/3, because 8 can go into 8 once, and it can go into 24 3 times. Now, much like the last problem, we can do this again with cross-canceling, so let me set that up right now. You have 4/8 times 8 over 3, and the 8s would cross-cancel. 8 can go into 8 one time, 8 can go into 8 one time. 4 times 1 is 4, 3 times 1 is 3, and you get 4/3, which is equivalent to 1 1/3. And again, we have to label these. This is miles squared. So cross-canceling does work, but you can just go through and multiply the numerators and the denominators and then simplify. Let's now take a look at question number 2. Number 2 says, Jamie is cutting rectangles out of fabric to make a quilt. If the rectangles are 2 1/5 inches wide and 2 1/2 inches long, what is the area of 4 such rectangles? Let's start by finding the area of just one of those rectangles. Let's take 2 1/5 and multiply it by 2 1/2. First thing we can do is we can turn each of these mixed numbers into improper fractions. We can do that by multiplying the whole number by the denominator, then adding the numerator. So 2 times 5 is 10 plus 1 is 11 over 5 times 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5, denominator stays the same, over 2. At this point, we can just multiply across. You could cross-cancel here with the 2 5s, though, and I'll show you that in 1 minute. But 11 times 5 is 55. 5 times 2 is 10, so you get 55 over 10. 10 can go into 55 5 times, and then you'd be left over with 5 over 10, which would then be 5 1/2. You could do cross-canceling here. 11 over 5 times 5 over 2, and the 5s would cross-cancel and be 1s. You would just get 11 over 2, which would again be 5 1/2. Now, we have solved that the area of one of these rectangles is 5 1/2 inches. What we need to do now is we need to multiply 5 1/2 times 4. So 5 1/2 times 4. going to change my ink color here so you can see the new problem set up on the very bottom in blue. So to do this, first we need to do is change 5 1/2 to an improper fraction. So 5 times 2 would be 10, plus 1 would be 11. So your numerator is 11. Your denominator does not change. It would stay 2 times 4, which would be 4 over 1. I could cross cancel here with the 2 and the 4, but I'm just going to go through and multiply. 11 times 4 is 44. 2 times 1 is 2, so you get 44 over 2. And 44 divided by 2 equals 22. So the area of 4 such rectangles is 22 square inches. Now we have solved this problem. This concludes Lesson 13 of Module 5, Multiply Mixed Number Factors. If you have any problems about this lesson or any questions about this lesson, please bring them to our next class.